Thank you for joining me for this workshop. My name is Trish McCoy, and the title of the workshop is A Table Before Me on managing and organizing the home that God has given you. And we're taking for our text Psalm 23, verse 5, Thou preparest a table before me. In total transparency, I am recording this post-conference because I forgot to hit the record when I was actually doing this live and in person. I just jumped right in. I was so excited. There were so many wonderful ladies there. Anyway, so I'm having to record this from home. Just ran in from teaching school, ran upstairs to record. But anyway, I thank you for joining me. I hope there will be something in here that will be just a nugget of something that opens your eyes or makes you love your home more and enjoy what God has given you. Because truthfully, most of the time, the things that we have are things that we prayed for and God gave them to us. And then sometimes we get frustrated about that with our husband maybe, or with our children, or with our house in general. I do have ladies tell me from time to time that my house is such a mess, I don't even know where to start. And I always say, start small, just clear one space. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the table being the center of the home. We'll get to that. But think about this. Can you imagine God preparing a table for you? He's going to do that, you know. But it says in Psalm 23, speaking of God, thou preparest a table before me. We know the marriage supper of the Lamb is coming. Aren't we excited about that? I hear so many ladies talk about it. I had one lady who told me that she hoped her ex-husband wasn't sitting beside her at the marriage supper of the Lamb. I told Monica, I said, who knows, you may be sitting by the Apostle Paul. Meredith said, oh, think about that. I do not want my mansion next to his or Moses. It would be way too much pressure for all of eternity. So many things to think about when we think of eternity, but we are going to eat. Aren't you excited about that? And Jesus will prepare a table for us. It's going to be something. We were talking about what would he serve. I don't think he would serve pork. Doesn't seem likely that he would. We do know that Jesus ate while he was in his resurrected body. Remember, he was on the seashore and he said, come and dine, speaking to the disciples. And fish was prepared. You know, in eternity, the lion and the lamb are going to lie down together. So I'm assuming we are not killing animals and animals are not killing each other in the life to come. It's interesting. I'll probably be eating plant-based stuff. There was a day when I thought, oh, a fate worse than death. But we're actually finding some good things made out of that, since Monica can't do dairy very much. But anyway, we'll go on and talk about managing and organizing the home God has given us. The Good Shepherd doesn't scatter blessings chaotically. He prepares, he arranges and manages and organizes and works at it. I had one preacher's wife tell me one time that she hoped to get to heaven in time to help him prepare for the marriage supper of the Lamb. Now, I think it's going to be a wonderful thing, but I'm not looking to get there early to help him get it ready. I'm thinking he can pull that off himself. Jesus said in John chapter 14, I go to prepare a place for you. Now, if he spoke the world into existence, literally just his voice, and he spoke the whole world into existence, and within a week, everything was done, very orderly, prepared, everything. And it's been sustained to this day. But if he's going to prepare a place for us, and he's been gone 2,000 years, can you imagine what that must be like? He just sets everything in order daily. A table doesn't have to be perfect or fancy. It just has to be prepared. A prepared table says that a place has been set for every person, number one. Number two, that there is provision for today. If a table is prepared, everybody's going to sit down and enjoy something that's been prepared for them, provided for them. And number three, a prepared table says that someone is passionate about home and family and preparing it for the people in the home or the guests that come into the home. Managing and organizing a home, though, is not about impressing others. It's about creating a place where souls can rest. S-O-U-L-S, where souls can rest. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, let all things be done decently and in order. And if our homes aren't prepared, our tables aren't prepared, we're not expecting people to enjoy the things that we are supposed to be doing for them, then the souls can't rest. Everything's just in chaos. I heard it said one time that you should marry the person that makes you feel like you're home. That's probably good advice. And what would that be like? And I think for every family, it's different. Every family has their own dynamics. Um, I grew up in a glass house in a preacher's family, and so everybody was always curious about what happens inside a preacher's home. We've had people before. My mom and dad. My dad took a church for about 6 months in Mulga, Alabama. He said it was just a short vacation because the Lord knew he needed a vacation between one church and the next. But for about 6 months. Well, it was way out. We had a train track that ran kind of in front of our house, not too far from our front yard. It was like a one red light city. You could walk just down the street of shops and you've covered the whole city, and there's one red light there. But one day my mom had laundry hanging out on the line. You know, I don't think we had to put laundry out on the line, but she had, you know, Dad's t-shirts pinned to the line and things like that. And a lady came to visit. My mom used to say, if somebody knocked on the door, if you came to see me, come on in. But if you came to see my house, please make an appointment. But anyway, this particular day, this lady got in the door and she said, so I see your husband has 12 t-shirts. Like, she had already counted the things on the line. People are just curious. So preachers' families are used to living in a glass house and kind of being prepared for that kind of thing. But the table in Psalm 23 is not praised for its beauty. It's praised for its presence. It's there and it's prepared. Although there's nothing wrong with praising its beauty. I love a beautifully set table. In the workshop, I gave away fabric napkins. I'm a huge fan of fabric napkins. I love dishes. I love everything kitchen and serving company, serving family, all of the things. But I gave away a set of with 8 fabric napkins, and I told the ladies, I said, by the time you keep pulling off paper towels or handing out napkins, you could have just thrown a load of fabric napkins in with some other load of clothes and maybe saved money. Who knows? But I love the beauty of it. I love that my family loves fabric napkins. They know that I use them often for family because they're more special than anybody else, than anybody else that comes in the door. So we're just going to talk about a few things and kind of break it down. So number 1, create an atmosphere of peace first. Psalm 23 talks about green pastures and still waters. If you think still waters, don't you just think, just floating in a boat on the lake, and the sea is calm, the lake is calm, because we know when it isn't calm, it's anything but peaceful. But managing our homes begins with the spirit of the home, because if everything is in order, well then, if the spirit is not right, nobody feels at home. Have you ever walked in a house and just felt tension there? That's the spirit that's not right, when you feel the tension there. But managing our homes begins with the spirit of the home and not the shelves in the home. And it's pretty much up to the female whether it happens or not, that spirit of peace that we want to have in our homes. That's not to say that Dad doesn't have to pull his end. We women, I think it's a blessing to be the one responsible for creating that in my home. It's been said that by the time everybody gets home in the afternoon, the tone for the whole evening is set in the first 3 minutes, and it's the wife who sets that tone. And if you really think about it, that's true. If Dad comes in the door and Mom is fussing about what the kids are doing and won't you spank these kids or whatever, okay, the whole evening is just kind of shot just a little bit. I will say this though, if Dad pulls his end and he helps prepare for company when they're coming over, like men like to vacuum. I have found that men will help if you give them something that plugs in. So get them to vacuum. Now they're going to turn over the couch and pull up the rugs and all the things. They'll do a thorough job, but you'll have to brag on him for the next probably 6 weeks or so, something like that. Men would like to be bragged on if they help around the house. So find something that you think he might like to do. Maybe it plugs into the wall, and give him a job to do. He'll take it seriously. I heard a story about a family coming down to the table for breakfast. It was a school morning, a work morning. Dad was going out the door at some point, but the daughter, I'm thinking maybe early teen, I can't remember exactly what the story might have told, if it told her age, but she came down in a hurry. She was going to have to catch the bus. So she sat down at the breakfast table and she bumped her orange juice glass, and it spilled all over Dad. He was already in a shirt and tie and everything and ready for work. And he jumped up right quick and fussed at her. She started crying. Like everything went wrong from that moment on. He had to go upstairs to change clothes. She ended up missing the bus because she was crying and upset. So he had to take her to school. He ran off and left his briefcase at home. Like everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And if you just kind of rewind all the way back to where somebody spilled the glass, if the spirit had been calm there and Dad had said, please be careful, let me run change my clothes, she would have caught the school bus on time. He would have made it to work on time and remembered his briefcase. So the spirit of the home, it can change in a minute. And it behooves us to try to make it be peaceful as much as possible for family and certainly for guests as well. But just for practical tips, I would say keep noise and chaos minimal, like limit the noise of the TV or the amount of time on the TV. Play soft music or keep quiet moments in the home. There should be some. And maybe the later it gets in the evening when it's getting close to bedtime, just kind of calm them down just like that. You probably noticed that if you go in a restaurant, if it's very, very crowded and they're playing music, it's probably been sped up just a little, some type of upbeat kind of music, because people will eat faster. But if you slow it down, they take their time. A mother just said recently that she had decided to set her table and have everybody sit around the table because, families don't do that very much anymore. Everybody kind of does their own thing, or they sit in front of the TV and eat or something. And she had just thought, I'm just going to just change it up for tonight. We're going to sit around the table. And she said it was so nice. She said everybody lingered. They talked to each other. They told each other about their day and how everything went. And she said it was so, so, so refreshing. I would also say this in the daytime now, keep the blinds open or the shades up to let light in, keep the rooms fresh, that kind of thing. At nighttime, when it starts getting dark outside, I want the blinds closed, and you probably do too. But one common factor about people who have depression, they don't let light in. And if you ever visit somebody and you think they're struggling with that, say, hey, do you mind if I open the blinds or put up the shade or something? You'd be surprised how much that changes the atmosphere. So a home should be not just clean, it should be calm. Sheep rest. We're talking about sheep in Psalm 23, and sheep rest in quiet places, and families do too. Many people walk into certain homes and they gather their opinion about what happens in that home and whether or not they would enjoy being in that home. And so we set the stage for that, and it has to be intentional. Peace is intentionally planned. Life is rarely calm. Bills arrive, schedules collide, responsibilities increase, but a managed home becomes a refuge. A little piece of heaven is what it becomes. Number 2, a prepared table shows daily faithfulness. Quiet acts echo the shepherd's daily provision. Managing a home is holy work because it shows the calling of God on our lives. Matthew 6:11 says, give us this day our daily bread. And the Lord daily provides. The Bible says, I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor their seed begging bread, the righteous. And he provides for us daily. Think about this. All of the animals that have ever been made or born since the beginning of time, God has provided their food every day for every one of them. It's just amazing. His daily faithfulness. And when we respond to our families and to our guests, like he responds to us, it's that daily faithfulness that will show through. And number 3, give everything a shepherd's place. That would be a priority place of priority. He restoreth my soul. In order for souls to be restored, there has to be calm, and I would say there has to be neatness. My girls tease me. They say, I will take a glass out of their hand to put it in the dishwasher. I just love an organized home. I don't want glasses sitting around everywhere. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But clutter creates stress and order restores peace. A simple organizing rule would be every item should have one clear home. And I can tell you this, whatever is going on in your house now that is not put somewhere, it's likely that there's not a specific place for it to go, because if there is, then it's very easy to drop it in that place. I was telling the ladies in the workshop that the problem is vertical. That's where vertical things catch everything. Think about it. The countertop, the dresser top, a table, the floor even. If everything were vertical like this, then nobody could be stashing their stuff on the tabletop or the counter. But one of the people that I read after years ago, was Emily Barnes. She has great books on organizing the home. One book is called Welcome Home. One is called More Hours in My Day. And I was trying to think, there's one other one, and I can't. Anyway, look for Emily Barnes. She even has like a book of banners for boys and probably for girls too. But anyway, it has some great just points in it. And this is where I got this idea, and I've lived by it for years. I plan 5-minute jobs and 15-minute projects. So think about this. Think about all the jobs that you would have to do in your home that you could do in 5 minutes. You could just name them as quickly as I can. Make the bed, scrub the toilet, wipe the counter. Like, you could just keep going. Even vacuum a floor or polish a table or anything. Unload the dishwasher. And so if you plan your day and think, okay, in 30 minutes, I could do 6 jobs that would immediately change the look and the feel of my home as far as creating order and having a peaceful, restful home. But anyway, 3 daily resets. I don't think I told you this. Hold on one second. I missed a line here. A shepherd keeps the flock gathered. A wise homemaker keeps the home ordered. So to order everything, it keeps it from having what's called eye pollution. At our church in Georgia, we had built new facilities, and we wanted to build a football field stadium, which we did, but they told us that the lights for the football stadium could only be so high because it would create eye pollution, and there was an ordinance against that in the county where we lived. So our football field, the church was on one higher level, and then a sunken down valley for the football field so that the lights wouldn't be too high, and they called it eye pollution. So we want to avoid that. But anyway, 5-minute jobs and 15-minute projects. I wanted to throw that in, and this is from that Emily Barnes book too. So 5-minute jobs, we talked about that. 15-minute projects would be like if you wanted to attack the garage or the attic or straighten a closet or something like that. And the way to do that, don't think, okay, I've got to, because you make a mess whenever you start organizing things. You have to pull everything out first, and it makes a mess. But just set the timer for 15 minutes, and when that 15 minutes is up, walk away. The next day, set it for 15 more minutes, and little by little, inch by inch, you get your projects done that way, and it's not overwhelming. But 3 daily resets. Manage a home. Number 4 is manage home and hearth with small daily resets. Instead of waiting for those big cleaning days, just daily pay attention to details. So 3 daily resets would be a morning reset. Make the beds and open the curtains. That just kind of sets your morning. Making the bed is one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, the book on that. And open the curtains or the blinds. My mom was telling me about one lady who always opened her blinds every morning. All of her neighbors knew when she was awake because her blinds were open. And one day the blinds were not open, and that's how they knew to check on her. And she had passed away inside her house. But her routine even let her neighbors know that something was amiss. So morning reset, make beds, open curtains or blinds. Afternoon reset, clear counters. Just that one job. The kitchen counter, the bathroom counter, whatever it is, just clear counters. That's your afternoon reset. And your evening reset, just straighten living areas. Put the throw pillows back on the couch. Pick up glasses that have been left there if somebody might have been having a snack while they watch TV or something like that. We call it setting ourselves up for success. Meredith and Seth and their kids live not too far from us, and we love that the Lord has kept us together all of these years, close by anyway. But Monica sets herself up for success. A lot of times Meredith and Monica will ride to work together. So at nighttime, that's what I'll say, Monica, what are you doing in there? She'll say, setting myself up for success. And she's getting the coffee maker ready and her lunch made and put in the refrigerator and things like that. But just 10 to 15 minutes makes a huge difference. You'd be surprised if you'll just kind of do it and see what happens. But a shepherd constantly guides sheep back on path. He doesn't wait until they are miles away. And so likewise, we reset the home daily. And that's better than letting it just drift to chaos. And then number 5, organize around hospitality. Psalm 23, thou preparest a table before me. Homes are heavenly when they're ready to bless others. It's just a little piece of heaven on earth. And God is preparing a heavenly home for us. As we know, we don't know exactly what that will look like. My husband used to say everybody's going to have their own thermostat. That's from a pastor trying to keep the auditorium at just the right temperature for everybody. He used to tell the gentleman who took care of those kind of things, maintenance kind of things, and thermostats and all of that for services. If people, he said every once in a while he'd see somebody sitting out in the auditorium, some woman just rubbing her arms like, I'm cold. And he told the man who did that, he said, just touch the thermostat. They'll be satisfied. They think something has happened anyway. But he said, in heaven, we're all going to have our own thermostat. God's preparing a place for us. But just some ideas for that. Let the kids set the table. I'll say ministry happens very well when kids are involved in ministry, and let them understand that guests are special. Hospitality is an Old Testament trademark, and it has kind of gotten lost in the day that we live in. I was telling the ladies about one particular family that was going to have the pastor and his wife over for supper. And so the wife said, kids, set the table. And she gave the 5-year-old the responsibility of, or do all the things that had to be done. And the 5-year-old was supposed to put the napkins on the table, and I think the silverware maybe. And she didn't go in to check, but when the doorbell rang and they answered the door, the pastor and his wife were there. But when they walked into the dining room, the little girl her mom had told her weeks before that the napkins in the bathroom were specialty napkins. Well, the little 5-year-old thought, well, if the pastor's coming, that's very special. So she had gone to the bathroom. And so beside each place was a sanitary napkin, and then the silverware set on top of it, the fork on top of it. I think a good way to teach children how to set the table, give them confidence in knowing how to set the table. So I taught mine, a fork has 4 letters, F-O-R-K, and the left side of the plate has 4 letters, L-E-F-T, so the fork goes on the left. The knife and the spoon have 5 letters, and the word right, R-I-G-H-T, has 5 letters. So the knife goes, and then the spoon, and both of them go on the right side. And just tell them whenever, this is what I do if I have company, because some people don't know, and if you don't say, it just takes so much pressure off of everybody. And so usually what I'll do is just say, after we've said grace, just reach for the dish that's right in front of you and then pass it to the right. And then everybody knows which way to pass it. There are so many rules. I'm fascinated with all of them. I've taught these kind of things for years to teenagers and to adults. They say if you don't pass the salt and pepper together, if you're single, you never get married. Who knew? Yeah, so pass the salt and pepper together. One thing I think kids can help do, my grandkids have always loved doing this, is making little tent cards if we were having company and they were here too. Just take cardstock and cut them into little tent cards, and then let whichever child is creative decorate those and put the person's name on it and set it by there. People loved that. I've had many comment on those kind of things. Juliet is our over the top, wanting to write everything. She makes to-do lists. She takes orders if people want coffee in our house and we're going to make it for them, all of the things. So she loved making the tent cards, especially when she was young. Some homes are spotless. Oh, excuse me, let me back up and say this. Keep a simple guest basket before I forget to say that. If we are going to have guests in our home, make them feel like you're glad that they're there. And of course, we see it when we go to hotels and things like that, like little makeup removers, little packs of makeup, a pack of with makeup remover in it or something, an extra toothbrush, toothpaste, just the little trial size things, snacks, tea, anything like that. Have extra blankets neatly stored. Keep a quick meal pantry, some go-to dish. And I will say this, if you're having company, always do one dish that's just easy. Don't try to outdo yourself on everything. That's too much pressure. Some homes are spotless but uncomfortable. Others are simple but welcoming. And the difference is just the heart of the home. My husband's Aunt Evelyn lived in Fort Payne, Alabama, and we were just passing through on the way somewhere. And he said, let's stop and surprise Aunt Evelyn. And I said, well, really? women like to know that company's coming. He said, no, she will love it. She will be surprised and she will love it. And I said, okay. And so we stopped at Aunt Evelyn's, and she said, oh, I'm so glad to see you. She said, I wish I'd known you were coming. I would make you dinner. She said, all I have, I've made some chicken salad this afternoon, and I've got some Cheez-Its. Let's sit around my little table in the kitchen and talk, and we'll eat chicken salad and Cheez-Its. And it's one of my favorite memories to this day. It's one of my go-tos. Anyway, it's just the heart preparation. Okay, we'll move on from hospitality. Thinking about Aunt Evelyn, who's not with us anymore. Number 6, reduce what creates stress. Do we know what creates stress? Because it's probably different from every home. But sometimes organizing means removing something, not arranging something. My mom, when we were growing up and she wanted to clean out our closets, she would go and take a hanger and hold up whatever it was, and she'd say, has this been worn in the last 6 months? Will this be worn in the next 6 months? If not, she chunked it, she gave it to Goodwill, or whatever. But we look at something and we think, do we use this? Have I worn this? Do I love this? Does it serve our home? All of those things are good, but just recently I heard that the question we should ask ourselves is it worth losing my sanity to keep this? Whatever it is. Clothes, dishes, things, and we would probably find out. I've just started doing this and I kind of love it. No, I look at it and I stress over it all the time. Let's just get rid of it. There's no stress there. And it may be clutter if we're stressed trying to figure out what to do with it. I'm a minimalist, I guess you would say. Thankfully, Dave and I both were kind of minimalist. We just didn't keep a lot of junk. We kept some sentimental things. But one time he asked me, we were cleaning out the garage or the attic. I can't remember now which one it was. He said, here's your high school diploma. Has anybody ever asked to see that? And I said, no. He said, do we need to keep it? I said, no, not really. I had my college one. Nobody had asked for that. So we threw it away. Yeah, he and I both were kind of like that. But you might want to check with your spouse before you do that. I will say that. Since sheep are stressed when things seem out of order, shepherds remove harmful plants from pastures so sheep can rest safely. Sheep get very, very restless if anything is out of order. Just stop and let that sink in. We are sheep. God calls us sheep. Think about your family, your kids, your grandkids being your sheep. And so just remove the things that would frustrate them. And number 7, make memories for the people you love most. This is not a small work that we are doing. It is shepherding on a household scale. A prepared table says to your loved one, you belong here. Everybody has their own go-to place at the table. You know your family does. If you're sitting there very often, they'll say, oh no, that's Dad's place. And so a prepared table says to your loved one, you belong here. A planned meal says, it's my privilege to serve you. Dave always said he felt at home at Merida's house because she took all of our stuff when she got married. She said, oh, it just makes my home feel like home too. I've got my home and my home that I used to have right here in my home. But one thing I did for my girls, as far as making memories we're talking about, I kept a Bible as I was going through different stages, my teen years, my college years, young married years, when we started our family, when we went into full-time ministry, things like that, and the notes that are in the Bible. And then each time that one of my girls, Meredith or Monica, went through that stage, a few years apart there. So each one would get the Bible for the stage that they were in. And they said they loved it. But we loved making memories. Sometimes we ate on a school morning. We ate breakfast in front of the fireplace. Just little things, just make memories. And it could be the simplest thing. They'll remember us for something. Our families will remember us for something, and we want them to, and we want it to be good. We want it to be good memories. I can still remember going to my grandmother's houses, and my grandmother on my dad's side had this huge, deep drawer in the kitchen, and she always had the snacks in there, and I loved that. And my grandmother on my mom's mom, she loved having like peas and cornbread and all of that cooking on the stove. So I remember the smell of her house. My other grandmother, the first one I was talking about, always had a little tree on top of a tabletop with all the little villages sitting around it, like little things, and you never forget it. You just never forget. My grandkids will tell me things. Oh, do you remember? You gave this to me 4 years ago. Oh, remember, we always do this. And so they keep us on our toes, don't they? Our grandkids do. It's been said to be remembered long after you're gone. Either do something worth remembering or write something worth reading. I'm going to read that one more time. To be remembered long after you're gone. Either do something worth remembering or write something worth reading. I think that's probably true. So I would say write something. Leave something for them to find long after you're gone. That's one thing I have treasured since Dave left for heaven without me. I have all of his Bibles, just different, like the open Bible. King James Version is what we always have. But all of his notes, his sermon notes, I have found them on little pieces of paper stuck in his Bible where he's like studying and just had a thought and wrote it down. He didn't like to take just, some preachers wipe their faces on handkerchiefs, and he liked a paper towel folded just like a handkerchief, and that's what he wanted. And I have a Bible that I found that in his Bible. Just little things like that, and our families will look for those things when we're gone, and they'll treasure them. And then number 8, make one place in the house especially restful. Just take a deep breath. Let it be the place that when you go there, you take a deep breath. Every haven has a green pasture. It's a cozy reading chair, your favorite pillow with your stack of books or basket of books beside it, a small devotional corner with pen and paper, something like that, a peaceful porch chair. When I moved back to Alabama, which is where I'm originally from, but after Dave passed away, I moved back to Alabama. All the 7 of us left, Meredith and her family, and Monica and I moved back. And I was thinking, how will I ever feel at peace anymore? What will feel like home now? I could not imagine it. But the house where I'm living, when I came here, through the den, the family area, whatever they call those things these days, it was all windows looking out onto a screened-in porch. And on the porch was one of those, like the bed rocker swings, with the mattress and all the pillows and the throws and everything, and a fireplace out there in front of it with a coffee table, a TV over the fireplace, which we don't even use the TV, but it's so peaceful out there, and that's what made me feel at home. I just found peace, a peaceful place right there that was just restful for me. When my mom comes over, she most likely, if I'm looking for her, is sitting out there because that's peaceful for her. So this restful place just becomes a place where your family members will naturally slow down and breathe easier, better, and say it's good to be home. Yeah, don't you walk in the door in the evenings and think, oh, thank goodness I'm home. It feels so good to be home. When a home has a peaceful center, the rest of the house begins to follow its spirit. So the center of the home, where everybody is walking into, where they're congregating, something like that. Let that spirit be peaceful right there. Number 9, keep the table central. It's got to be the central focus. We go to it 3 times a day, don't we? It's often where the family reconnects, where prayers are heard, where burdens are shared, if we just take time to sit around the table. And I would say just a simple organizing tip right there is to keep the table cleared most of the time. But you might have to find what works for your family. We're puzzle people, and Monica loves a puzzle on the table. And when the grandkids come over, if there is a puzzle on the table, it's the first place they go because they love putting that together. They make those things now, though, it's like a big rubber mat that will roll up. You can do your puzzle on that, then roll it up, and it stays in place. Anyway, just find what works for your family, and keep the table the central point where you eat. Just all of the things where you sit around and talk and share burdens and pray together and eat together. And then number 10, remember the true heaven. We're talking about creating a little heaven on earth. But it says in Psalm 23, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And so while we were creating our heaven on earth, and there are so many ways to do that, and we're all so different. I told the ladies, I'm a recovering perfectionist because I would have everything perfectly ordered. I just love it, and I love organizing and managing and all the things, the home. But I had to decide that if my family wanted to feel comfortable, I had to chill just a little bit. So I call myself a recovering perfectionist. But if company's coming, since we're talking about company too right here for just a second, if company's coming, women are nosy. They will look under your bathroom counter. I always tell the ladies that I have taught these lessons, dust the top of your picture frames, because we're used to looking at the pictures that are sitting around. They aren't. The first thing they're going to do is pick it up, and then it's going to have dust all the way across the top, unless you think to dust the picture frame. The kitchen. I don't really like people going through all the drawers and cabinets in my kitchen. I realize they're probably going to look for a glass or a fork or something if it's casual atmosphere, or if it's company that's staying for more than one meal. And so usually I just go and open the first drawer that they come to and say, this is my junk drawer and I'm very proud of it. Then I push it back in, and it doesn't matter to me where they look. They have seen the junk drawer. I heard one celebrity one time say that when she was having people come over, she would tell them, you have a choice. You can either do a chore for me, or you can sing me a song while I work. And I've actually tried that several times, and people think it's so fun. So anyway, you might try that just to create a peaceful atmosphere when people come into your home, and take the pressure off of yourself just a little bit. But remember that there's a true heaven that we're going to, and this home that we are in should be a little piece of heaven before we get to that one. Just a little heaven on earth. Homes feel safe when they contain prayer, kindness, gentle speech, and forgiveness. I would hope nobody's yelling at home. You can have a perfectly decorated house and it's still not having a heaven on earth. But a humble home filled with God's presence, there's nothing like it. Cultivate peace, maintain order, practice hospitality, and keep your eye on the sky. We're headed to heaven. So let's just prepare for that now by creating a little heaven here for our families and for our guests. Joy is found in the privilege of preparing that. The home, the table, the hearts to whom you minister. There's a deep joy in saying, Lord, thank you for the people who fill these chairs at my table. Managing and organizing the home becomes worship when we see it as God designed it. I've told ladies often, you can be perfectly in the will of God standing at a sink full of sudsy water with dishes in it. Stewardship rather than drudgery is what we should consider it. Ministry rather than monotony. Preparation rather than pressure, which we sometimes feel. And then just a closing thought. Every time you straighten a room, plan a meal, sort a drawer, or prepare a space, you echo the shepherd who prepares a table before you. Not for applause, not for perfection, but for peace. And that, dear sister, is sacred work. Let's have a word of prayer. Lord, thank you so much for this time that we've had to get our heads together, glean from your word, remember your promises to us and your preparations that you've done for us all through our lives. You've been so good to us and so faithful, showing us your loving kindness every morning and your faithfulness at night, we can say. May we pray that, Lord, and dwell on that thought. I pray that you might help us to go about our homes and our lives, Lord, living closer to you, closer to our families, creating that heaven on earth here while we're waiting for our heaven there. We love you. We thank you for loving us so well. And pray that we would bless you in the way we order our lives here. For it's in Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen. Thank you for joining me.